The plane took off heading south through Saxon Creek Gorge. The tower says it lost sight of it in Tucker Flat, a mountainous region that's extremely remote.
Pursuit of a grand larceny suspect southbound from Parkway Mall heading towards Grove Street. White male wearing a white sweatshirt.
The call comes in shortly after 8 o'clock tonight, and Reno Police Officer Terry Naughton wasted no time responding.
Okay, here he goes. He's in a blue vehicle. Nevada 880, David San North. He's going westbound.
Westbound on what? On what street?
The suspect we're in pursuit of reportedly hijacked a car and the driver. The chase lasted about 3 minutes until this happened.
On your head, driver! Put your hands on your head! Step out! Turn and face away from me! Snyder! Snicker! Back up! Back up!
Your driver's gonna take off!
Take it off, I got it! Stop! Stop!
The man with his hands up on his head is actually the victim, and the suspect is now driving. The chase continues for about another mile or two before coming to an end behind the fire department on West Moana Lane. The suspect ended up jumping from the car in this empty lot, but he was found a short time later.
Comfortable? Everyone should be pleased with the service here.
The problem is he doesn't play by the same rules we do. It's not easy, but you don't really dwell on it. You just do it. It happens too quickly, as you just saw. You don't really have time to think. You just respond to your training and go for what you know.
The suspect, 21-year-old Christopher Futch, was arrested and is tonight facing charges of carjacking, kidnapping, and grand larceny. In Reno, Bill McGinty reporting for your 24-hour News Source 2. It was 1 year ago today that I stood in this field with the wreckage of care flights scattered about behind me. On that day, the NTSB told us it would probably take 6 months to a year before they could ever determine the exact cause of what happened that day. But on the 1-year anniversary, we can only tell you what probably happened, as there is still one vital part of the tail rotor that is still missing.
And he's stuck up on Mount Rose right now. Bill, it's got to be miserable up there, huh?
Mike, I can't even begin to describe how cold it is up here on the Mount Rose Highway. You told me a little bit earlier that Tahoe City had a reported wind gust of up near 98 miles an hour. I would guesstimate the wind to be blowing right now in the vicinity of 75 to 80 miles an hour. With the temperature down near zero, the wind chill factor has got to be way below zero. What you see blowing around up here is just that. It's just snow blowing around. It really isn't falling from the sky. Brent, at this point, they still do not know, although several people who came out of the building just after the blast said that there was a strong smell of propane minutes before the explosion happened. There was an incredible experience. Good news about 45 minutes to an hour ago. As you reported, a 4-year-old girl was found alive, trapped inside one of the restaurants. She was sitting in her chair beneath 4 feet of rubble. That rubble being timber, dirt, and all kinds of other stuff that fell from the ceiling. Having been wounded, the suspect drove this gray station wagon up this driveway looking for some help. Only the help he finally got was from a Lyon County Sheriff's deputy. The fire department and the hazmat team had to be called in because the plane is made of some sort of a carbon fiber, and when it burns, it becomes extremely toxic. Right now on the outside, 65 degrees, winds gently blowing out of the northwest at 5 miles an hour. Humidity at 27%, and the barometer's rising. The air quality continues to be in the good range. Today's high 88, low 47. In the last 24 hours, last 48, last 72, we haven't picked up any precipitation. Again, this is the only weather maker that continues to appear on the satellite loop. This thing will probably start to skirt its way up towards the coastline towards the latter part of the week, but again, we probably won't see any precipitation from that, maybe by Saturday, and that's a big, big if. Yeah, we have a top 10 list, although that's going to come up a little bit later on in the broadcast. We're up here at the University of Nevada, Reno. I don't know if you heard me before at the Pi Phi House. The average age here is about 19 or 20, so this is really tough duty for a young guy to pull.
10 News reporter Bill McGinty joins us now live from TIA. And Bill, is everyone on the plane all right?
Well, Sue, no injuries to speak of, just a few rattled nerves after this Boeing 737 Delta Flight 1210 made an emergency landing here at Tampa International on the runway you see behind me. A hurricane you can see on the radar. You can see it coming for days. There's time to prepare and evacuate if necessary. But this storm, this came down out of the sky in the middle of the night and did destruction like this, all within 30 seconds. This is day 2 in grand jury testimony in the Monica Lewinsky investigation. Former White House Chief of Staff Leon Panetta testified that he never saw the president or Miss Lewinsky engage in any inappropriate activity. Well, Reggie, new information tonight. The Dallas Morning News is reporting that a Secret Service agent apparently caught
Monica Lewinsky and the president in a compromising position somewhere in the White House. That Secret Service agent is now said to be a government witness. Also tonight, Lewinsky's testimony before the grand jury here at the federal courthouse could be on hold tomorrow while the deal for her immunity continues. Now, earlier today, the president broke his silence, and he had plenty to say. Jen, Monica Lewinsky's attorney is still trying to work out a deal for that immunity. He says she's ready to tell all, but not without a deal. Meanwhile, here at the White House tonight, the president isn't making any new comments. His aides say on the agenda tonight, the Super Bowl. That's about all.
40 with that. This thing's up in the trees right now. I want to divert Task Force A to 40 as soon as possible.
For 3 solid hours, we watched this fire get closer and closer, all of us not exactly sure what it was going to do. But when the winds kicked up one more time, we knew exactly what to expect. This is what it's like to be on the front lines of a firestorm. Firefighters are hoping they can contain this fire, at least to the other side of Highway 40. Could it come across?
Oh, most certainly. Very good chance of it.
And within minutes, he was absolutely right.
Law enforcement or fire, go!
Where do we go?
Out of here, I don't care where. Get out of the area.
All day long, this fire forced the evacuations of thousands of people in Volusia County.
And we are on water, but the way these flames are jumping over things, it's just, you have no idea.
And tonight, these fires are still raging out of control, sometimes getting too hot for even firefighters to fight. Is this too bad for you guys to even try to fight it?
We got to get on the other side of the road.
It's too bad. Is it going to jump the road?
Probably. We're going on the other side right now.
Hey, is that fire station over there?
Fires like that are burning all over Volusia and Flagler counties. In fact, since Memorial Day weekend, 1,800 wildfires broke out across the state. The people on the front lines, the firefighters and police officers, they're hot, they're tired, they're hoping for some rain from Mother Nature, and it looks like we're going to get some. How much? That's up to the weather department. Reporting live in Flagler County, I'm Bill McGinty. Reggie? It's about 7:30 right now, and police helicopters are starting to arrive. The crowd is growing more and more volatile by the second. Bottles are smashing all over this intersection. Police are only hoping that they can gain control of the crowd in the next 30 minutes or so. Okay, we're back here live at the triage area. They just loaded somebody into an ambulance. As we said, we do not know how many people are injured. We do not know how many police officers are injured. We understand this riot is continuing to grow, and there is no sign of it being under control. Reporting live from the Thunderdome, or Tropicana Field as it may be now, I'm Bill McGinty. Back to you.
And some good deals and also some strange stuff when you read the classifieds.
But you might get a real kick out of this one. It comes from the St. Petersburg Times. Okay, it's an ad. It reads, prosthesis, left leg custom fitted, below the knee with a Reebok tennis shoe attached. Found on Shell Key, Sunday morning, June 1st. 10 News reporter Bill McGinty just had to check this one out.
Out on the Mary Pier in Pass-a-Grille,
it's baffling, for sure.
A mystery is underfoot.
It's creepy.
I think it was left or lost by somebody on the island.
Find stuff all the time, like boat parts, car parts, tires, stuff like that.
But what somebody found in the sand on Sunday morning has everybody talking.
We find a lot of strange things out here, but never legs.
That's right, a leg, a left leg.
How could you accidentally leave your leg?
A very good question.
It is a bizarre find. It's sort of sad, actually. I don't know how anybody could lose a leg and get away. How could you get away if you didn't have another leg?
Almost everybody on the Shell Key shuttle has a theory about the prosthetic leg that a college student found.
That's why I think it came off a boat, because if it fell off a boat, you wouldn't be able to retrieve it right away, and then it could wash up on shore.
There's no sign, no seaweed, no sign of it being in the water at all.
If you lost your leg on land, how could you walk away and forget it?
All we know is that somebody left their left, but who?
But it's possible that it could be a female leg.
Or no, I think it's a man's leg, because the ankle seems really big.
Sort of big. Could be a woman. Could be a woman wrestler or wood chopper.
That is rude.
Nice sneaker, and has Reebok here. Nicely tied, as you can see, a nice little bow.
Well, most women wouldn't want a big fat ankle. I don't think. I wouldn't.
Today, it's a good story for everybody to kick around in the sand of Shell Key as they politely ask,
does anybody recognize this leg?
Reporting in Pass-a-Grille.
Please come to claim it if it's yours. We're here right here on the Shell Key shuttle right off of Pass-a-Grille. Can't miss us.
I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
Woman wrestler.
Bill did some research and found that a good custom-made prosthesis can cost about $5,000.
Wow.
If you buy one off the shelf, a leg can
run about $1,500.
Does it really say that? A leg can run about $1,500 to $3,000. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing
So
about
if you
that.
know anyone missing a limb, a woman wrestler or lumberjack,
That's rude.
Have them call the Shell Key Shuttle on the east side of Pat's Grill. They will keep it until someone comes and claims it. And I will tell you this. I looked at the shoe. It looks like a female Reebok.
Doing some detective work here.
How can you tell? What about the shoe?
You're watching Tampa Bay's 10 News on WTSP.
All right, so how often do you buy something only to find out that you've been shorted, even just a little? Are we really getting what we pay for? In tonight's 10 News Extra, we sent reporter Bill McGinty shopping for some random products, and you might be surprised at what he found out.
Have you ever wondered if your quarter really buys you 12 minutes? And is your 1 pound bag of Tostitos really a pound? And what about the advertisement promising 400 much-needed squares?
18, 19, 20.
In this story, we're going to see if you're really getting what you pay for. So using a brand new stopwatch, we timed 4 parking meters in downtown Tampa. Meters some people say are
very overpriced.
Using a $1.50, we timed meter number 415 on Tampa Street for 1 hour. We also measured a roll of duct tape that advertises 60 yards on the package. So out on this football field in Clearwater, we took it yard by yard to see if 60 yards is really 60 yards.
And the total is 56 yards, 4 yards short.
That's 12 feet for you mathematicians out there. Back in Tampa, we're still waiting on meter number 415.
82, 83, 84.
And while we waited, we turned our attention to the other products. Things like 400 squares of rippled cottonelle. And the extra laundry detergent that reads 1 gallon. Moments later, we learned it really is 1 gallon. And our 1 pound, 4 ounce bag of Tostitos stacked up to its promise. As a matter of fact, so did all the other chips we weighed.
340, 341, 342.
But what about that nice, soft, cottony cottonelle? Are there really 400 sheets, as they say? The answer is no.
394 usable squares.
So far, we found toilet paper that's 6 short, but in a 12-pack, that's 72 sheets you won't have when you most need them. But is something like toilet paper and duct tape really worth complaining about? Kevin Jackson is a consumer investigator.
Yeah, sure it is. There's no question about it, unless it's just an isolated situation. But if it's, repetitive, especially, the consumer should certainly let somebody know.
Another common gripe is over the gas pump. So using a complaint from the State Attorney General's office, we tested a gallon of gas from the Chevron in Port Richey, the same place somebody said they were shorted. They may have been shorted, but we weren't. The gallon we paid for was the gallon we got. Back in Tampa, our time is up, and the hour we paid for was actually 62 minutes. 2 minutes in our favor. So the next time you're out looking for a good deal, park at meter number 415 on Tampa Street. It's the second one on the left, just south of Madison. Reporting in Tampa, I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
And you're going to love this. Bill actually checked with a toilet paper company. He was told that toilet paper is rolled in mass production by machines, and sometimes those machines can short you a few squares. Well, a company representative told Bill they welcome calls like his, and they're going to pass the word on to quality control. Here's the best part. They offered to compensate Bill for being shorted 6 squares of toilet paper by sending him a free roll. So you see, it does pay to speak up. If you have questions or consumer complaints, we do have a link to the Public Service Commission on our website. Just log on to TampaBase10.com, click on links from newscast on the left side of the homepage.
10 News reporter Bill McGinty joins us now live in St. Petersburg with more. Bill?
Hi, Heather. This is a fairly significant problem for anybody who lives along the beach or is out on the water. In fact, teams of marine biologists from Mote have been out on the water today. They were out as far as 60 miles taking water samples and doing some testing looking for red tide. This is one of the longest bouts of red tide that we've had to deal with here.
Tampa Bay area. The last memorable bout was back in 1990. The fishermen that we've been talking to today say that they've been looking at many dead tarpon in Tampa Bay all the way out to the middle. We're reporting live now in Palm Bay. We're stepped outside the hotel, the Jameson Inn here in Palm Bay off I-95, just for a couple of minutes to bring you this live report. Thanks to the Weather Channel, whose truck is parked at the west end of the building where it's secure. Wind's still ripping through here. We're actually getting the first look at some of the damage out here on Satellite Beach. Remember, Satellite Beach is a barrier island in front of the city of Melbourne. We're about 30 miles south of the Kennedy Space Center on the coast. But Deanna, they're doing the best they can. Let's start with some good news this afternoon. The river has dramatically receded. Walk with me, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. The river this time yesterday was where I'm standing. In fact, we took this green John boat over here. We took a ride in this John boat yesterday out to some of the homes. We floated over the top of these hedges. These hedges were a good 2 to 3 feet below where the boat was. The river, as you mentioned, is expected to crested yesterday. It's expected to fall below flood stage sometime around 5 a.m. Let me show you where the water was. This is a good visual way to explain how much the river has receded. You see that white car all the way up there beyond our live truck? That's Lithia Pinecrest Road. The river on Tuesday night was actually up there. So it has fallen a good 100 to 200 yards down River Road and should keep receding. As I mentioned, 5 a.m. Sunday morning. This car here, we talked to the owner a little bit ago. This belongs to Ralph Leonard. He had, you see the water line right here. All of the water was inside his car. It smells horrible. He said, go ahead, open my door, show everybody what it looks like. The car is a total loss. He says, more than likely, he's going to have to just junk this car, maybe sell it for parts. The water, he told me, was above the dashboard. John, see if you can get a shot of this. This humidity actually on the inside of the car. I mean, it smells horrific in there. It's been said, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Here at the Astronaut Memorial at the Kennedy Space Center this week, that couldn't be more true.
And Tampa police are looking for a man they say broke into a Tampa home and tried to attack 2 women with a crowbar. 2 women say the man broke into their home early this morning, but instead of becoming a victim, they made him a victim. The 2 women took away that crowbar and then fought back. 10 News reporter Bill McGinty has their courageous story.
Seminole Heights is a neighborhood with a lot of character and beauty, but lately it's been attracting an unwanted element of violent crime.
And I thought it was a shotgun because I only glanced, and I'm thinking, oh no, this is not happening to me.
Oh please, this is not real. There is not some guy standing down at the end of my bed demanding money from me.
Listen close as Ginny, a former security officer, and Bunny described to you how they refused to become attack victims during a home invasion.
I got out of my bed, butt naked, and went up to this man and offered to take him to where my wallet and checkbook was at.
So the dialogue started talking. He says, I want $20 for crack. I want my crack and I want to get money.
You're playing me. You know, you're playing me, you're lying to me, you're playing me. At this point in time, because I'm standing pretty much toe-to-toe with this guy, I realized that he's got a good-sized crowbar. And he tried to swing at me, but it got tangled up in the light strings from the fan and the overhead light.
You know, somebody threatens one of us, you know, one or the other, and, you know, all of a sudden we both see red. And she goes for the sword that's on the side of the bed, down by the chair.
He asked me what I had, and I turned around and told him, this is what I got.
And he's getting ready to...
He's getting ready to swing on me, and I charge him with this.
And I grab the tire iron right out of his hand, and then all of a sudden, he's the victim. He's turning around.
He's trying to get out of here because we're not 2 little helpless nothing people.
Together, the victims turn the tables on the now unarmed man.
I'm chasing him with the iron, and I'm stark naked too, by the way, which I forgot to mention. And he's, you know, and if I hadn't been stark naked, I would have literally chased him down the block.
That suspect, possibly wounded and definitely scared, ran off into the night. So do these ladies think he'll be back?
Not bloody likely.
Reporting in Seminole Heights,
I am not going to be a victim.
I'm Bill McGinty, Tampa Bay's 10 News.
Boy, did he pick the wrong house. Tampa police ask people to make sure that their windows and doors are locked at night. Police also recommend leaving plenty of lights on outside at night. And if you know anything about these home invasions, Tampa police say please give them a call at the robbery squad and they will track this individual down.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Stephanie. This is a very serious injury accident. We are on 195 South. Here's what a witness told me just a few minutes ago. Let's go to the videotape as I describe what she told me. Apparently, there was a Ford Explorer heading north on 195. The snowplow was heading south on 195 and was in a turn lane. The witness told me that that Ford Explorer attempted to pass, lost control of the vehicle, and hit the snowplow head on. Of course, the snowplow didn't budge. The Ford Explorer instead rolled several times and ended up in a farm field just to the west of 195.
In fact, in 2005, a little more than 514,000 teenagers were either injured or killed in car crashes. Experts say 1 in 7 teenage drivers are likely to be involved in an injury accident in their first year of driving. With odds like that, parents may want to consider a product that would enable them to keep an eye on their teenage driver when they're behind the wheel.
Worst thing I could do is fight back with the dog even more. The pressure you feel in here is a lot. I can feel her clamping down and twisting sideways on my arm.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Stephanie. You know, this is really a reoccurring problem that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. You're right. We're here in Rathdrum at the Treehouse apartment complex where an aluminum carport, probably 30 yards long, be careful there, Patrick, came crashing down this morning on top of 2 cars. And you see a woman named Nikki, her car, still in there, still crushed beneath the weight of this carport. Steph, you hit the nail on the head. We're talking about wet, heavy snow. This is what was on top of that. Look at this. It's even hard to... That is exactly the problem. And it's the reason that apartment complexes like this have brought in professionals to help clear this snow off of these carports so they quit collapsing. Chris, if you go ahead and pop up the eagle eye for us, you can see the job ahead of these guys. Mason, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Is that thing wobbly up there?
Yeah, it's real wobbly. We have to take care of the perimeter first, or if we don't, the eaves will fall down on us.
How long does it take you to clear one of these?
About an hour and a half a piece with 2 guys. No more than 2 guys are allowed up at a time.
All right, be careful up there.
Thank you very much.
Chris, if you'd pop it back down to us. Patrick, this is the at the base of the ladder. This is exactly how much snow they have cleared off this thing, and they've only been at this particular carport for about the last 25 to 30 minutes. They've got a long way to go. Dan, Stephanie, back to you.
Bill McGinty's going green tonight, and maybe a little bit red as well, by riding a bike.
But it's not exactly to work. He joins us live to explain. What are you doing, Bill?
I'm powering this live shot. Could you guys have put me any lower in the show? I'm about ready to have a heart attack here. We had to check out the shot. There's our live truck right there, Gabe Ferguson on the camera. I'm pedaling this bicycle put together by Greg Weldon. And it is powering our live shot. Everything is under McGinty power right now.
War is a race, and the prize is victory. Now is not the time in any way to ease up.
It has been 2 generations since they did what needed to be done.
This is my daddy. He was about 17.
Boys like Robert Bud Cooney went to war as men. At 17, Bud Cooney went to be a tail gunner on the B-17 Flying Fortress. At 17, Bud Cooney went to help destroy Germany's ability to make war.
I think he was very brave.
Bud Cooney's daughter, Sandra Miller, has heard all the stories and has seen all the scars of war, both physical and emotional.
Those kind of, horrible things that he saw, he would have nightmares about, all his life. And sometimes I'd hear him just cry, when he'd think about, we had a book of everybody and all the missions, and he would read through this book of these different missions, and I could hear him cry because he'd remember them. And whoops, I didn't think I was gonna cry. I was hoping, but I was always extremely proud of him
And so was a country. Men like Bud Cooney returned home. They went to work, they started families, and they lived the very freedoms they helped defend.
I've always been extremely thankful for what he's given me.
And now this grateful nation is giving back by taking them back. Back to see the World War II memorial. Back on an honor flight to live the honor they earned.
They're just in disbelief that people still care about them. We get the picture of New York and San Francisco with the ticker tape parades for the guys coming home, but so many got home in the dead of night or showed up on a dock. Nobody was there to greet them, and they went to work the next day. And here, 65 plus years later, they have flags and bands, and it's very emotional for everybody.
Bud Cooney heard about the honor flight and called a radio station to join. He was selected and booked. His honor was scheduled for a weekend in April. Even in fragile health and wheelchair-bound, Bud Cooney prepared for his flight just as he had done so many years before.
But he didn't want anyone to have to push him. And I said, Dad, they're going to put you in a wheelchair and they're going to push you around. But he was staying strong and in good shape for the trip. And
But just weeks of his honor flight, Bud got sick, and it was a sickness he couldn't beat.
I was, surprised that it was that quick, And they asked me, well, what funeral home would you want? And I was like, well, I can answer that in about a month, I don't have any idea, I didn't. He was still, fighting right up until that very day.
At 86, Bud Cooney's mission was over. His honor flight went on to D.C. without him. So on this Memorial Day, Bud Cooney's story has become our honor to tell. The day is greeted with a horizon full of possibility.
Excited just to go out and tear it up a little bit.
It's the 22nd annual Combine Demolition Derby. Lynn, Washington will be the place. These farm boys will define the moment.
Crash it. Bust the other guy. That's all you got to do. If you can break his header off, he's done.
Free beer tomorrow, buddy. Get him again.
It seems like every year when we get someone here that's never been, their eyes are about this big because you wouldn't even fathom doing something like this.
Think of something 14,000 pounds and loud hitting you, and then the guy in the driver's seat next to you yelling at you and laughing.
A good way to take out frustrations and anger.
It'll jar you around a little bit. My shoulder will be sore tomorrow.
Where in the world do you see combines crashing into each other?
It's a boom.
Amid 5 hours of dust and determination, crunched combines have finally produced a wheat field winner in Josh Knodel and Team Jaws.
It was a good derby, a lot of good hits out there. We haven't had hits like that for a long time, so.
You be sore tomorrow?
I hope so. That way I know I did something.
The wounded and weary now wait. Wait for 2010. Wait for redemption. And wait for revenge.
I look forward to building a better machine and beating Jaws.
So what do you get if you win? Well, you get a couple of $1,000, but more importantly, you get the big, bad bragging rights of earning that win.
How did you even learn she was in the nursing home?
Who are you? I'm Bill McGinty from WCNC in Charlotte.
Get out of here. I appreciate it, Bill. I got to get prepared for my job.
Well, did you know you were violating CMS policy when you gave those raises?
Bill, thank you.
Are you a guy people should be doing business with? Is there anything you want to tell us at all?
Get out of here.
I've been trying to talk to you about this. I think it's important since it's taxpayer dollars.
Well, Bill, it doesn't violate policy, in fact.
James, are you going to pay Glenn his money?
I don't know.
Are you? Do you make routine practice of going into nursing homes and acquiring properties this way?
NBC Charlotte's Bill McGinty works for you.
Whether it gets on TV or not, I'm going to try to help them.
When a well-known furniture chain was giving this Charlotte couple the runaround, they got McGinty.
And I said, you know what, there is something we can do. I'm going to go get McGinty.
And they got results.
What we couldn't do in 2 years, he did in just a couple of days.
2 days.
2 days, he got results.
You know, I used to joke that if my boss ever found out that 80% of what I did was behind the scenes and not getting it on TV, he'd probably strangle me.
Bill McGinty and NBC Charlotte are looking out for you.
Ripped off in Rock Hill?
I'm being taken advantage of.
Get McGinty. Conned in Concord?
My contractor took my money and disappeared.
Get McGinty. Swindled in Charlotte?
They say I owe them money, but I know I paid them.
Get McGinty.
I'm Bill McGinty, and I'm looking out for you. Just shoot me an email, bmcginty@wcnc.com, or you can find me on Twitter. I'm @BillWCNC.
Bill McGinty and NBC Charlotte, looking out for you.
When the NBC Charlotte defenders take action,
Are you a guy people should be doing business with?
they get answers.
Why not require that this action happens immediately?
Solutions.
We got McGinty and we got results.
You can trust these guys to cut through the red tape.
Where's all of that money going?
The excuses, the lies, defending your family every day.
I have my money.
McGinty, Mark and Michelle, the defenders, NBC Charlotte, looking out for you.
So does your cell phone battery drain quickly too? Mine always seems to. I'm always charging my phone at my desk, in my car, and then when I get home, turns out it's operator error. And it probably is on your end too. It's been said the average smartphone owner has 30 active apps downloaded, and many of them can and will run in the background, all of them collectively draining your battery. According to AVG Technologies, the biggest and best drain on your cell phone battery is your friend Facebook and its counterpart, Facebook Messenger. Spotify is a drain, so is Instagram, so is the WhatsApp app. And Retail Me Not may save you a lot of money, but it's costing you battery power. And check your email settings on your phone. I didn't realize that every time my phone updates email or alerts me to a new one, it's using power and data. Experts say adjust your email settings and turn off the alerts. If you have game apps, close them out because some of them will run all the time in the background. And if you're not using your Bluetooth and GPS, likewise, shut them down. They're big drains too. All right, 2 more things before I go. First, if your battery still seems to die, dim the brightness on your phone. If you drop it down to 50%, that's going to make a really big difference. Secondly, give your phone a good 8 to 10 hour deep charge. Turn it off, let it rest, and charge up. You're going to notice a very big difference. I'm Bill McGinty, your consumer investigator, NBC Charlotte. When you get out of a Lyft or an Uber or maybe another ride-sharing service, do you turn around and take a couple of quick pictures of the inside? Well, after you see this next story and hear this man's tale, you might want to do just that. It was a rainy October Sunday in the D.C. Metro. The Redskins were playing the Cowboys in what would shape up to be a soggy birthday surprise for Chris McGinty and his 17-year-old son, Matt. They both drove up to the game from Charlotte.
This was a huge gift for him. The smile on his face was something to be treasured.
Being out-of-towners, Chris did what a lot of us might do. They called an Uber to get to the game from their hotel. The Uber got Chris and Matt to and from, but the next morning, Chris says he got the surprise of his life inside the Uber app. He'd been charged an additional $150 for a cleaning surcharge. He felt like he'd been sacked. Chris and his son were wet from the game, but no more wet than the hundreds of other people who took an Uber home that day. And the driver, he could have called an audible and refused them admission into the car had they been that wet.
And if water was an issue that day, why was the driver working in the rain? Did he really expect dry passengers at the end of this rainy day NFL game?
He never raised an issue with you being wet?
Absolutely not. I don't think he engaged us in any conversation at all.
Chris tried to fight the penalty by disputing the charges, but Uber backed the driver's call, and the total charge of fare plus cleaning of $189 stood. Back in Charlotte, Chris McGinty emailed me, and I emailed Uber. And within 6 hours, Uber had a big and very sudden change of heart. Uber refunded Chris the cleaning fee of $150, and they refunded the fare of the trip another $39, and they gave Chris a $20 credit for future rides. Chris McGinty, your problem has been solved.
So just before you get out of the car, lean in and take a couple of quick photos. That way, if there is damage done after you get out of the car, you'll be able to prove it wasn't you. I'm Bill McGinty, NBC Charlotte. It was a very hard rain that washed out this bridge 3 years ago.
It was in July of 2013, and the rain was horrendous.
The ensuing torrent of water took out the roadway and part of the bridge here on 24th Street Place Northeast. And since then, nothing.
It's ridiculous. It's unsafe.
Has been done.
It's horrible. I mean, it looks so dangerous.
Nothing.
We're living with this for almost 3 years.
It doesn't take a genius to see that this is an accident just waiting to happen. This street doesn't have streetlights. At night, it's pitch black. So driving down this way accidentally could be deadly. The only thing here is this barrier.
There's been times when the barriers have been down because the children have been playing here, so nobody would see them.
The guardrails are suspended in midair over the collapsed road. No fences, just a looming danger. And a very attractive place for curious kids. This is only one of 2 ways into this neighborhood, and the neighbors say, aside from the inconvenience of having to drive all the way around, they're worried that somebody is going to get seriously hurt or killed.
This is a completely unsafe situation. I've watched children, try and, dance across this railing.
And then there's the possible delay in emergency services, with one of only 2 ins and outs now cut off.
We had an ambulance come up on Sunday morning up our street. Obviously, they have to go all the way around. Whereas at one time, they could cut through here.
We found a property deed that says the roads were built private. One of the property deeds says the maintenance of all the streets and the roads here in the subdivision shall be the responsibility of Keener, Shook, and Tarleton, the subdividers. Problem is, their relationship dissolved back in 1994, and 2 of them have since passed away. An attorney for the surviving partner says the roads were offered to the city decades ago, but one unknown neighbor was a holdout, so no one owns the responsibility for this road now, or this mess.
It's like we're forgotten. Yeah.
So you're probably thinking that the developers and their estates are then still responsible for this mess. Well, the attorney I spoke with says the limitations of their involvement have long since passed. As for Catawba County, they told me we don't do roads and bridges. No county does. And the state, they told me they'd take the road once it was fixed and brought up to their standards. In the meantime, I've reached out to a local congressman to try to investigate some type of funding source that might be available. I just simply refuse to believe that there is no solution to this problem. It may take us a long time, but we're going to keep working it. I'm Bill McGinty, NBC Charlotte.
Good to know.
Welcome to 1070 Sentinel Oak Drive in Clover, South Carolina. Or is it in North Carolina?
Cut my house in half.
Mike McCardle owns this house on the corner. He bought this real estate, well, because of location. But now, North Carolina wants to move the state line a bit further south and run that state line right down the middle of Mike's house.
Whoever sleeps on either side of the house, that's the state they will reside in.
And the ridiculousness here only gets worse. This side of the master bed, South Carolina. This side of the master bed, North Carolina. No joke.
And I said, which state does either parent have to have a driver's license? And they could not answer me at that time.
The boundary between North and South Carolina was loosely established back in 1772 with markers like trees and ditches and fences. But now, 244 years later, the states are marking their territory, so to speak, with firm lines right through Mike's house.
That's just ridiculous.
Ridiculous because the North Carolina State Geodetic Office, which is running this whole program, told me that Mike's house actually belongs to someone else. That's not true, and here's Mike's property deed to prove it. I found it on the internet, no problem. So how much faith does Mike have in the system that now may decide his house's two-state fate?
I'm mystified, frustrated, all of the above. I bought the house as an investment figure, and it would grow in value. Now it's only going to go down in value. Who's ever going to buy a house that's half North Carolina, half South Carolina?
And there's still a whole host of problems to sort out. Who's going to insure the property? Half a house in North Carolina, half a house in South Carolina. Who's he going to pay taxes to? North Carolina or South Carolina? These are the questions we are helping him get answers to over the next month and a half. If you have a problem and you'd like to get a hold of me here at the TV station, just email me. All my information is right there on your screen. Have a happy holiday week, everybody.
Parmesan Sound Chablis. I recommend it.
The year was 1980. Wine wasn't all that popular back then or chic. And Orson Welles, well, he was telling America,
Parmesan will sell no wine before it's time.
But times have changed and wine sales are big business. Americans drank 949 million gallons of it in 2016. And in 2017, sales of just California wines topped $35 billion. But do you really have to break the bank for a good bottle? We're at Publix at McKee Farms, which has the biggest wine selection of public stores in the area. Tim is my bartender for this unscientific experiment of cheap versus pricier.
There are some high-quality wines for under $10. There's some high-quality wines that are come in a box.
We're testing 2 different Pinot Noirs, 3 different Cabernets, and 3 different Chardonnays. Some are under $10, some are right around 20, and a couple are over 40. So can our day-drinking tasters tell the difference between the cheap and the more expensive? First up, the Chardonnay. The Clos de Bois and the Noble Vines are both just under $10. The ZD Vineyards is $41.99. Our taster, though, well, she liked the high end, saying it was smoother. This was $41.
Oh, okay.
No wonder you liked it.
Well, see, I do have good taste.
Next up, the Cabernet. The gnarly head is just $9. The Hess Select, $19. And the Honig is $41. But our taster, Leslie, she liked the cheap stuff. This is $41.
Really? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, you chose $9 over $41. This is $41.
That's funny. I would not have expected that. I would have thought that was cheaper.
In the Pinot Noir category, the La Crema is $24.99 and the Chateau St. Jean, $9. Our taster, Sophia, she says she shops by price, but preferred the pricier La Crema.
Ooh, it's smooth. Do you want a hamburger or do you want a ribeye?
Point taken, Sophia. Point taken.
Hands down, the best assignment I've ever had, at least in the last year.
Done.
What a great little campsite.
Marquet and Dale love quality time in the great outdoors. It's the reason they saved and saved for their dream RV. After all, if you're taking the whole tribe across country,
We're going to go out west. We're going to go to Utah. We're going to go to Wyoming. We're going to go to Idaho.
Marquet bought the RV at Camping World in Spartanburg, South Carolina in May. The purchase price, $32,500 and change. The photos of it looked great, but the real thing, Marquet says, not so much.
Like the kitchen table went down like that. Food would roll off it. The furniture was tore up. There was big, huge gouges in the walls. There was rust all underneath the camper.
Marquet wrote me an email asking for help, so I in turn contacted Camping World in South Carolina, asking if she and Dale were sold a used camper instead of a new one like they paid for. The GM wrote back to me saying the unit is new. She feels because it's been displayed at an RV show that it's a demo.
Certainly it wasn't new.
It was definitely not new. And I couldn't get any help anywhere, so I contacted you to save me.
Shortly after I contacted Camping World then contacted Marquet and Dale and offered them a new camper. A brand new 2015 camper.
Microwave, stove, it even has a fan on it.
Without any dings.
And this is the boudoir.
Without any scratches.
And this TV came with it?
Came with it.
And without any RV show stickers on it.
And that's what you wanted.
Yeah, that's what I paid for.
Today, the camper is ready.
Booyah!
And so is a game of cornhole.
Yeah, there you go.
A game they can enjoy, even if the consumer guy is winning. Reporting near Lake Wiley, I'm a shameless Bill McGinty.
Oh, 2!
2-0.
NBC Charlotte.